Alright, so I'm bored as hell, so I'm going to show you how to put Rockbox on your iPod now. Now I'm going to assume that you have no idea what you're doing whatsoever and are completely new to this. So let's get started. First thing you're going to do is you're going to open up my computer. Sorry, that's my retarded computer doing something gay. So you're going to open up my computer, and I have a bunch of other crap down here, but don't worry about that. All you want to be looking for is that when you connect your iPod, which I'm going to do right now, wait for it. You can see I'm getting a little loading thing now, which means it's going. Alright, so now a new icon popped up, and I don't know if you can see from here, but mine's named Nick's iPod because it's my brother's iPod. But that's besides the point. Yours will probably be called removable disk. And if not, then you obviously haven't gone into iTunes and clicked enable disk use. And if you haven't done that so far, you can go onto apple.com or look at your manual to learn how to do that. So we're going to open that, and I have a bunch of stuff in here, but you should have absolutely nothing, or if you have a video iPod, just a folder called iPod. So now we're going to go to www.rockbox.org, find your model. I'm going to do this for the iPods. I don't know if there's any difference if you do it for a different kind of player. But we're going to go ahead and say that you have a iPod Nano first generation. We're going to open that up. We're going to click open. We're going to let that go. As soon as it's done, you should see something. It says .rockbox. You're going to go ahead and right click, hit cut, and put that wherever you want to put it. I'm just going to stick it in my documents. And it'll go for a while. Assuming you have a slow computer, this could take a while. And don't worry about all the crap it's doing right now. And then it's going to have something that says deleting from archive. You're going to go ahead and say OK to that because it's not really doing anything. I don't know why it does that. Now, assuming that you have the .rockbox in your, I put it in my documents, but wherever you placed it, you're going to right click on it, cut once again. It should turn that little faded color as usual. You're going to go back to my computer, double click on your iPod again, and again, assuming that there's nothing in here, right click and paste the .rockbox thing. Now, the only purpose that the iPod folder really has is to put in files that you want to use from your iPod without using iTunes. If you have a video, you can do videos, or otherwise with the Nanos and such, you can just do pictures and music. And Rockbox will pretty much convert anything you have, and I mean anything, as long as it's ripped from a CD. CD is the only thing it doesn't do. So any format, MP3, WMA, that crappy iTunes format, although I don't know why anyone would want that unless they had a Mac. So it'll pretty much do anything, also any picture format. And so once we're done with that, you can either leave these windows open or closed, whatever you want to do. I'm going to just minimize them. We're going to go over into the corner of the screen. Hold on. And I don't know if you can see, but there's a little blue arrow here. We're going to go ahead and click on that. And we're going to hover over until we find the one that says Safely Remove Hardware. Click on it once, and you should see the one that your iPod is. Mine is Drive G, so we're going to go ahead and click that. And then it should say Safe to Remove Hardware. Now on your iPod, it should also say OK to disconnect. So you're going to go ahead and disconnect your iPod from your computer, and it should restart automatically and say Rockbox. So now that you've successfully installed Rockbox, and I have a theme and everything on here, but we'll get into that later, the first thing you're going to want to do, it takes a while, is scroll up to Database and click it, And mine's already created, but it's going to ask you to create a database for the first time. This could take a while depending on how many iTunes songs you have. Now this music database will be all of your iTunes music. Files, on the other hand, is why we created that iPod folder. Hold on, let me get a better grip on this here. I'm going to click Files and wait for it to load. And this will show you everything you have saved on your iPod, no matter what it is. Now if it's a media file, picture, video, whatever, you can click on it and your iPod will automatically open it. So here's some random picture. We're going to click on it. And because it's not standard iPod format, it's going to go ahead and convert it using rockbox. I don't know if you can see, but that's a wallpaper. And so now that we're done with that, all you adventurous types can go mess around with the rest of rockbox. And if you don't like the standard rockbox theme, which most people don't, then you can go ahead and change it to whatever you want. And to do that, you're just going to go to rockbox.com, and then you can find all the themes you need, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Download the file and put all of the right dot whatevers in the places where they're supposed to be. It's not really that hard. And everything else here is pretty much standard iPod stuff. You got files, which I showed you, database, which is your iTunes music, resume playback, which if you were listening to a song, that's how you'd find it immediately. Settings, you don't really want to mess around with that too much except for themes. Recording, you can actually record voice messages. I haven't really tried that, but obviously you need a microphone for that. Playlists, you can make playlists straight off of here. And then plugins, which is the great part about Rockbox, why it's so much better than iPod. You can use games, applications, or demos, and all demos really are pretty screensavers. So when you're listening to music, I guess you could use them if you want. Like here's an example. This is just some random fire. And all of these come with Rockbox. And then there's games, of course, and there's so many different ones, so much more than Apple gives you because, you know, they're cheapskates. They don't really want to hire anybody to make games. And then they did, and now they still charge you for them, which I think is pretty gay. So there are some arcade games you'd recognize here if you started them up, but they do have weird names just because that's copyright for you. So that's pretty much all you need to know about Rockbox, and you turn it off the regular way by holding play and just waiting, and it shuts down. Now you'll notice that unlike a regular iPod, you're going to have to hit menu and wait for it to boot up again. This is probably the only thing that Rockbox does differently than your standard iPod, and that's good that it has to reboot every time you use it. But considering that it only takes a few seconds, it's not really a big deal. And if you ever get screwed or stuck on something, then what usually works is you just reset it, menu and middle button, hold until it turns off. Now, it's going to stay off unless you hit menu again, and when it's booting the regular Apple logo, you can hit hold. I don't know if I did it fast enough here. No, I didn't. Let me try that again. So, like I said, while it's booting the Apple logo, what you can do is hit hold, and that will boot your actual, I don't know what you want to call it, Apple software, which sucks, but if for some reason you want to go back to it. Oh, and you'll also have to go back to it if you want to use iTunes again, although after seeing all this, I don't know why you'd ever want to do that. And it does take a while for it to go back to iTunes format, and you won't be able to look at any of your files except your original music from iTunes. But once you're here, then you can always reset it again, but this time just don't hit hold, and it'll go straight back to Rockbox. And of course Rockbox has all the things that iPod software does, like the backlight changing and all that other crap, so you can go ahead and mess around with that if you want. But basically that's Rockbox in a nutshell.